Hi, it's been a hot minute, hasn't it? I haven't put anything on my channel in a little while, and it's been a little while since anyone's talked about Sonic Misadventures as well. For anybody that doesn't know, Sonic Misadventures was a show that was going to go up on Tails' channel. It was produced by Matthew Mannheimer, and it was originally written by the Blue-Eyed Fox and another person whose name escapes me, but I'll put it in the description. And it was directed by Spirit of the Blue. And Matt was the producer, I think. It's been a while since I really had to remember everybody's roles. I was originally brought onto the project to be the voice actor for Big the Cat. I'm thankful that never panned out. But I was eventually, it didn't take very long, but I was eventually molded into being the lead storyboard art. Well, I was eventually molded into being the storyboard artist, and then the lead storyboard artist / only storyboard artist. Even later than that, became one of the 4 producers of the show and assistant writer. I took on a lot of extra roles for the show as the show progressed. Unfortunately, it never came to fruition. The show never came out, obviously. It got caught up in what's the phrase? Production hell. Some petty squabbles and motivation issues and whatnot. Nothing very serious. I don't know about anybody else, but I personally, as time has passed, quite a bit of time has passed, I look at Misadventures as nothing but a good learning experience. I made a lot of really good friends. I hold 0 grudges against anybody from the show, and I like to think that most people from that show think of it the same way that I did, where I grew up a lot as a person and I learned a lot about how things work, and I can actually thank Misadventures for inspiring me to do digital art. I was not a digital artist before I joined Misadventures. I picked it up to be a storyboard artist because I was so passionate for the show. I originally was doing it on paper and like sending it to them, like, let me help, because it was like going slow. It was going very slow at first, and I was like, let me do this for you. And I eventually picked up a $99 used bamboo, which I'm still using, and Flash, and I've been working with digital art ever since. So I really do not regret any of the time that I spent on Sonic Misadventures, and I'm very appreciative of all the opportunities and people that I've met, and I really hope that's what everybody else took away from it too. But it's not like that's all that happened. We didn't just make friends and talk. We did quite a bit of work. You know, besides the bit of SFM animation you guys actually saw through trailers, there were several clips that were actually SFM animated from the storyboards or animatic. I'm not really sure what you would call what I did for the show. Whether it would be storyboarding or an animatic, because it's like, if this was going to eventually be animated in Flash, it would have been an animatic, because I animated it so much, like a lot more than I needed to. But it was never going to be animated because it was all 3D, so maybe it's like a mixture of storyboarding and whatever. It doesn't, I'm rambling. Yeah. So, I guess before we get into it, I want to say this is not a good representation of me as an artist anymore. Some of these storyboards are literally the first things I ever drew on a computer when I was, I think, 17 and a half, 18 when I first started the show. Something like, I didn't start the show, when I first started on the show, excuse me. And they aren't good. A lot of this is garbage looking. But another reason for that, though, is it was never intended to be actually drawn over or animated in 2D. So I never did it with the idea that I would eventually have to redraw over this and make it look better. It was just I needed to make sure the positioning and the posing and it all looked good enough for the animators to work with. But I clearly went overboard with this a lot, mostly because of one, I was very passionate about the show, and I was really passionate about art at the time, and I was enjoying pushing my limits and seeing what I could do. 2, animation was taking a very long time. People had classes and projects and work to deal with, and animation was going at a snail's pace, which was partially, it was part of the reason that the show ended up going under, was motivation loss due to everyone's crazy schedules. It wasn't on anybody's head. Like, I want to squash any rumors right now that it was on the fault of anybody for the show going under. It was really just it was poor planning to start out with, and poor execution and poor motivation. Over time, people were very motivated at the beginning, but nothing but talented and interesting and great people in that show. It was nobody who was just like trying to destroy everything, I guess. Because I have seen people talking about you know how rumors are and blah blah blah. It's already been 7 minutes almost, and we haven't even got to the animatic. This is why I'm making 2 separate videos. This one is just the commentary, and the other one will be just the straight animatic. But I really wanted to get my thoughts out there on the show and my time working on the show. And the animatic. I didn't want to just have it out there without being able to say, like, ew, that was gross, or I still kind of like that. So, no, excuse me, the way that this is going to work is I'm going to sometimes talk over what's happening, and sometimes I'll just pause it after a scene or before a scene if I think it's important to actually pay attention to what was happening on screen. One last time before we get into it, I want to reiterate, this art is gross and it doesn't represent me very well. But I've been sitting on it for like 2 years, and I wanted to get it out there eventually. I wanted to let the Misadventures hype die down before actually putting it out there, and having Zach put out the unreleased opening theme song on his channel. That's Zach Frazier on YouTube, check him out. It inspired me to be like, you know what, I think it's probably about time that I throw these up. So without further ado, let's pull that video up. I thought I had it prepared, but I didn't. Hang on a second. Alright, here we go. 3, 2, 1. This is probably the worst looking out of the entire bunch. I did this entire opening animatic in a night, and I was not feeling it, because people were really pushing me to... By the way, I'm going to talk over stuff. If you want to hear this song on its own, go to Zach Frazier's channel. But, people were like, oh, dude, you got to get the opening. Let's do the opening. And I was like, ah, alright, I don't feel like it. So this looks poopy. The song's incredible, though. And this whole opening was actually animated. I would like to call on any SFM animators who did any animation for the show to go ahead and release whatever you want to. Like, who's stopping you, right? We don't have NDAs. Establishing shots. This is placement holder music, by the way, that I put in way back when I originally edited this video. I don't know how long ago. It's not what was going to actually be in the show. I just wanted something to like kind of set the mood for when I was showing people what was going on. I hate that wink. I believe there was a version where I replaced it with something else, but I couldn't find the footage.
Whew! Now that's how you do it.
And I'm going to pause it right there. I want to pause it right there because I actually forgot to mention there is some voice acting in this. All of it is placeholder. I don't think there were any finalized lines, so don't rag on anybody for something sounding weird. Not that it matters because this is never coming out, but I don't want people to feel bad because it's like, oh, I could have done that better. It was all placeholder. In fact, there's a scene later on in the video where I'm actually voicing Knuckles because I just needed it to do the animatic, and we didn't have the line from our Knuckles VA yet. And it's actually a line where the blue-eyed fox is still Tails in that exact same scene as well. I think it is. So let me quickly rattle off the voice actors in this very, very talented cast of people. That was Spirit of the Blue as Sonic, the director of the show and one of the founders, one of the creators of the show. That's Tails. That was our eventually replacement Tails, Emmy Jones. Everybody knows who Emmy is, but a very talented VA, very nice person. We got her pretty late in production as Tails. The Blue-Eyed Fox was replaced, but she was our Tails for a long time. Who else is in this? We have Kyle something or another. I hope his name is Kyle. It's been a couple years, y'all. You know, cut me a little slack. I'll be sure to put everyone's actual, like, names and stuff in the description. Very talented Eggman. Sounds just like Mike Pollock, and I think his name is Kyle, and I'm sorry, dude, if your name's not Kyle. We have Noah Copeland as Cubot, who also eventually became the writer of the show and would go on to write, let's see, him and Matt wrote the, I don't know, did I mention this? I don't know if I mentioned this. Episode 1 was originally written by the Blue-Eyed Fox and somebody else, whose name escapes me again, and I'll put that in the description. But it was then rewritten by Noah Copeland for consistency and cohesiveness. And I assisted, and me, Zach, and Matt, and a lot of other people assisted with the writing. But Noah's really was the head behind making it all work well. Very talented dude. He and Matt worked on the outline for episode 2, and then which eventually became episode 3 because we split episode 1 into episode 1 and 2 because it was too long. And then episode 4 was written by Noah all by himself, I think, which was the Team Chaotix episode. And then episode 5 I helped work on a lot. We had a lot of plans. Essentially, Noah did a ton of work and outlined nearly 5 episodes. He's a very talented guy. Also one of the musicians on the show. I just went on a complete tangent. It's probably been like 15 minutes and we're only a minute 43 seconds. I'm sorry. Like I said, this is why it's 2 separate videos. I say a lot. Who else? Donkey Dude, Zach Donkey Dude as the voice of Orbot, and Malik something or another. He's the voice of Knuckles. Amy is voiced by JJ something or another. Once again, I'll have everybody's actual names in the description. Who have I not covered? We have at the very end, Beast Player Studios in a clip voicing Bean the Dynamite, and another dude, Konohamaru, I want to say, was his Skype name. I'll look up his actual name. Voicing, no, that wasn't it. It wasn't. That was somebody else. That was Zach's original. Man, it's been years. Whatever. Y'all know I'll have the names in the description. I'm just trying to give proper credit. There's also going to be a lot of missing lines though. I think I'm gonna go in. No, I'm not gonna go back in and edit when there's a missing line. I'll just say when there's a missing line. Screw all that noise. Alright, back to it.
Yeah! Nice move, Sonic!
What can I say? Smashing Eggman's robots is kind of my thing.
Oh, that walk cycle's so
Even if
nasty.
they are just practice bots.
I couldn't draw Tails at
Ooh,
all
We got
back in
ourselves a
these
straggler.
days.
What do you say, Tails? Tiebreaker?
You know it!
Everyone's heads are so fat, too.
Yes!
Wow, you're getting a lot faster, aren't ya?
There's a missing line.
Maybe someday I'll be as fast as you.
Sure thing, pal. Just know you got a long way to go. There's a reason they call me the fastest thing alive, you know. Yo, Tails, you coming or what?
And transition to scene 2. Just like that, and it's a TV screen. I'm gonna pause it real quick because I want to say I was so proud of that transition when I first made it. I was like, wow, that is movie quality right there. But looking back on it, it's terrible because why is there a camera there just looking at Tails' workshop? It would have made so much more sense to have the camera kind of like sweep backwards in like a 3D kind of like swoosh curve and then like pan up to like a sky view of Sonic and Tails, because then that would be like it's an Eggman drone looking at their conversation. But whatever, you know. That's what experience does. It lets you see more stuff. By the way, if you see gray lines on the screen, that's how you know it's a TV. Well, that was my indication of this is a TV screen. Into scene 2. Here we go.
Ahem. Excuse me, sir.
That's Donkey Dude Zack as Orbot.
I can see that you are busy, but our aerial forces have just about finished assembling, Dr. Eggman, sir, we are ready to launch phase 1 of your plan.
Excellent! Make no mistake, this time I will finally exterminate those mammalian vermin. Technological perfection is just around the corner, Orbot. Soon the whole world will have no choice but to bow to me, the greatest scientific mind of all time.
It's incredible. He sounds just like Mike Pollock. It's a great impersonation. And pause. That's one of the transitions I'm actually still proud of. It's sort of like a comedic, like going from maniacal evil to it's a little happy Chow garden with a Chow yawning. It's a little jump cutty, but it was on purpose, you know. I like it still. I thought it was good. The transitions in this are one of the only things that I'm still actually proud of. Some of them, a lot of them don't actually look that good, but I'm more so proud that at the time I had the knowledge to not just do fades to black all the time, like actually put some interesting camera work in and whatnot. But yeah. And this is scene 3. Cream does not have any voice acting lines in here, but you will hear the Amy voice actress. Once again, all the lines are placeholders. And here we go. It's also nasty looking. Once again, this was more about getting these drawings done in a timely fashion than making it actually look good, you know? Because it was going to be 3D animated. It wasn't necessary for it to look good enough for me to go back and redraw over it, because I was never going to go back and redraw over it. If I was actually doing this in 2D, it would have obviously taken a lot more time, and there would have been a lot more effort put into the drawings.
Are you two okay? I swear, I can't even leave for 1 week without things going crazy. Someone really has
Obviously, lots of missing lines.
We need to get you guys to a safe place. They'll be fine.
What was she talking about here? I think Cream's upset that she's being dragged away from the Chows. She's scared for their safety, but obviously the Eggman robot wasn't interested in the Chow or whatever. I like this transition still as well, and I like the music choice I got for it. Ba-dum-bow-bow-bow. I feel like it worked nice. It's all placeholder music, but I still tried to find stuff that worked well. Do-do-do-do-do.
And I was stuck there for 2.5 days trying to work the stupid thing. Turned out all I had to do was push up and down.
Pausing it. So yeah, that last scene was one of the scenes that I actually requested to be rewrote the way it was. A lot of what you'll see was original scripting by the Blue-Eyed Fox and that one chick, and then rewritten by Noah Copeland and screenplay by Noah Copeland and all that good stuff. But I did have the opportunity to put a lot of my own input into what's happening. Pretty much all of the expressions and, well, obviously the way everything's laid out and posing and all that good stuff is was completely up to me. But that last scene with Knuckles was a bit different, and it was placed later on in the episode, and I asked to have it put there and to not really show what was happening with him. So he actually pops up later on in the episode. And I don't know. I'm just patting myself on the back, I guess. I think it works. Because you'll see another music cue coming up with the same music that was playing on Knuckles Island. So it kind of gives you an idea of what Knuckles was looking at. And blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, that was the robot head that just landed, is what happened. The one that Amy hit in a couple scenes ago. Excuse me. Back to it. Hey, this is a little edited in after the fact snippet that I'm going to throw in that I want to say. I don't feel like I gave proper credit to Noah for his writing. I feel like I made it, because I'm editing the video right now and I'm listening back to what I was saying. I think it made it sound like the end product was a lot more the Blue-Eyed Fox and the other person. I want to make it very clear that the original script for episode 1, which is everything before the plane scene that happens a little bit later on, the original script of that was written by the Blue-Eyed Fox and the person whose name still escapes me because I haven't looked it up yet because I haven't done the description of the YouTube video yet. But it was heavily rewritten, following the same ideas and cues, because I had already done a lot of storyboarding and animatic work for the show by the time Noah Copeland became the head writer. But we did still go back and redo things, and I redrew a lot of what had already been storyboarded and done to fit the new script. It was very different. And then everything after, once I'll say in the video, like, oh, we're on to episode 2 now. Everything after that point was completely written by Noah Copeland without anybody else. Well, not complete, with assistance and input from the rest of the team. But he was the head put together of the screenplay and script from then on out. And then he would pass it along to us, and we would all discuss it and talk about it. And we'd say, like, oh, let's change a line there, or let's do this and that. But he really put in a lot of work to lay everything out. And he did the same thing with the rest of the episodes, too. So I wanted to make sure I gave Noah the proper credit that he deserved, while still also crediting the Blue-Eyed Fox and the other person for the original script as well. I don't want to leave anybody out. That's what I'm trying to say. I don't want to downplay anybody's role, because everyone worked very hard and very passionately on the series while it was still going. So, onto the next, yeah.
Right. Let's forget that ever happened and turn our attention to this, Badnik head?
Seeing how it's broken and all, I'm gonna say that's a piece of Eggman's cruddy craftsmanship.
That's not a good sign.
Maybe it's nothing?
I think this music is from Mario Galaxy. Ba-da-da-dun-dun-dun.
Spoke too soon.
The A-carrier!
Yup. Just great.
He's heading towards the Chow Garden!
What? What does he want there?
No telling, but we need to get there fast! I'll make sure the tornado's prepped and you can... I hate it when he does that.
It's very poor sound mixing there. On my part. Because I'm the one that I superimposed this music over the voice line. No, I put the voice lines in too. I did everything in this. So that was just bad mixing altogether. There's another transition. Yada yada, pat myself on the back. Anyways, continuing.
Yo, Amy!
Sonic!
Cream is saying something here.
It's good to see you, kiddo.
Is what's happening?
That's a missing Sonic line. If it wasn't obvious enough. And a Cream
If
line.
that's true, then we can't take any chances. Take Cream and evacuate to Station Square. Eggman's robots will be here any minute. You mean nothing that we can't handle?
And pausing it, because that was random. It's the only, actually animated scene in all of this. And the only reason it exists is because, at a time... At a moment really late in production, I was considering pitching the idea of just animating the entire series myself in 2D. As you can see, I was not very good at doing the animation. I still ain't very good at doing the animation, but I was still very passionate, and things were going very slow. Once again, not to the fault of anybody, just life, It's a very huge project. It's a huge undertaking for anybody. But I didn't have that much going on, and I really wanted it. I wanted it so bad to work out. Yeah, well, that's all in the past. Though, I do, looking back on it, I feel bad for how much work people put into it. I'm glad that we're just kind of, being open and posting whatever online now. Because there's so many talented musicians and SFM animators and voice actors that never got their work to show. And I put a ton of work into this too. At the time, I was very, well, that's not true. I wasn't really like, ugh, nobody ever got to sell my stuff. I was much more just upset that the show itself didn't, like, play out. But after I had already accepted the show wasn't going to happen, I was like, ugh, I did all this work, and no one's ever going to see it. So I'm glad that it is seeing the light of day, even if it's so grody and ugly. It was still hours upon days upon weeks upon months upon years of work from me. That I'm glad I do get to actually put out there. Though I wouldn't be opposed, because the story is something that people put a ton of work into, especially Noah. I wouldn't be opposed to, like, making it into a short comic series or something. You know, bringing back some of the voice actors to redo their roles and do, like, a comic dub or whatever. If you guys are interested in something like that, let me know about it. I'll get, like, permission from the people that were originally in charge, and I mean, eventually, it was me, Noah Copeland, Zach Frazier, and I want to say Spirit of the Blue. Like, by the end of the show that were considered the actual producers. But I would still want to not have any bad blood. I would want to ask everybody who was involved if that would be something, and if that would even be something they'd be interested in coming along with. And obviously, it wouldn't come out tomorrow. I've actually got my own projects that I'm working on right now with some of the people that were in Misadventures. So it would be a little while before you guys saw anything from that. But if you are interested in that eventually turning into something like that, let me know. I'd be interested to see what people thought. I mean, if nobody cares anymore, then what's the point, you know? But yeah, anyways, back to it. This is going to be such a long video. I'm sad I never got to see some of these scenes actually animated in SFM. Oh, here comes the first bit of overly animated fight scene. I had a lot of spare time. And I really was passionate about... I'm still passionate about fight scene choreography, but this show had a lot to do with that. Missing Sonic Line.
Fun? This isn't my idea of fun. I came back from a relaxing vacation only to be greeted with this mess.
Here they come!
Bow, bow. Bow. This is so much more than it needed to be.
You know it! I've really been wanting to test out a few new techniques on some bots, but the ones I rebuilt just aren't the same.
I'd be lying if I said I didn't have fun doing all this. It's the only reason I put so much effort into it.
Crap. Eggman's already here. Hopefully the others are okay. Oh! What the heck, man?
Sorry, I was just cutting loose.
Sonic told you to do that, didn't he?
That's Malik is Knuckles. It's so obvious to tell.
Good to see you're still
Oh
in
wow, I
one
won't
piece.
talk over Malik. I still kind of like that. That was nice. Here I come, rougher than the rest of them.
Please, It doesn't matter what time or place. You always need Knuckles' help.
Pausing it. It's so clear. The half of this upcoming fight scene was actually the first thing I ever drew on a computer. It was the first thing I did for the show, storyboard wise. Besides my like audition, which was on paper, and it was actually episode 2. Storyboards for episode 2. But yeah, so you're gonna very clearly see when it was like, oh, he's been working with digital art for like a while, a couple months or a year, however long it was. So this looks a little more on model, or this is actually like animated way too much for what is eventually going to be 3D animated. And then it'll be like, oh my god, what happened? That looks disgusting. And that'll be... And it's kind of intermixed too, like sometimes because I went back and I redid a lot of this stuff at a later date to look better. And sometimes I was like, yeah, that looks okay, I'll just leave that for time's sake. So you'll see like, that looks, you know, I mean, none of this looks good, but that looks half decent. And that looks like dog poop. And then that looks half decent. And then it's nothing but dog poop. So, here we go.
I saw the egg carrier from Angel Island. Look, we doing this or what? Only if you promise not to hold me back.
Oh, I also had full control of all the fight scenes, by the way. None of the fight scenes were like written out in the script or the screenplay or anything. I was told to just go crazy and have fun with it. Which is a part of why I enjoyed it all so much, because I could really show off a little bit with transitions and... Oh, this is the old stuff. This is the nasty looking old stuff. Even more nasty than the rest of it. But I had a lot of fun kind of making them all work together and seeing what I could push myself to do and accomplish. I was really proud of that pose for a long time. I remember that being longer. I'm gonna pause it here. All of this footage that you're seeing is just mangled together stuff I could find on my hard drive, by the way. Like, since I worked on this show, I've moved computers, and I've deleted stuff, and I've lost stuff. And I have files upon files upon freaking files of repeated shots, like scene 1, and then scene 1 for real this time, and then scene 1 redone, and scene 1 through 2, which has a little bit different from scene 1. It's actually done this time, and I had to watch through all that crap to like make sure I wasn't forgetting anything, because this is the last time I'll probably ever talk about Sonic Misadventures and ever post anything about it. So I wanted to just get it all out there. That's why there's a big old whip and work in progress sign in the top left hand corner, because this is a video I found where I guess I put whip in the corner to just be like everybody who's in the Misadventures team know this is a work in progress. Like, it matters because it's storyboard. It doesn't matter at all. And I'm still so insecure about how everything looks. But yeah, back into it. So the fight scene, I've already touched on this, but I'll touch on it again. All of the fight scenes were completely done by me. Some input, if somebody from the group, mainly a higher up, I'm starting to voice crack. If a higher up in the group wanted something changed, I would go back in and redo it. I wasn't happy about it. At the time that I was doing these, I was much younger and less experienced with the idea of taking criticism from people. So if there's anything that I'm proud of to this day, it's how much I've matured in handling that sort of thing. But yeah, so very little to no input from anybody else. The fight scenes are pretty much all on me, and expressions during scenes were pretty much all on me. other than that, scene progression, people's conversations, what's happening in the script, what's happening in the show. I had input and I had suggestions, but I did not do. That was all the Blue-Eyed Fox and that other person originally, and then rewritten by Noah Copeland with input from me, Zach, Matt, and the rest of the group. So, you know, I don't want it to look like I did everything, because I obviously did not. I didn't do any of this voice acting. I didn't write these lines. I didn't set up these scenes. That was all very talented other people. So, back to it. This is some of the older stuff that I did. You can tell because it's so much less animated. It was a lot smarter because it saved a lot more time, and it's clearly more like, this is going to be 3D animated. Oh, it's Cream. His ear perking up was him hearing her screaming or whatever in the background. Got him. So that's a weird cut and transition because I couldn't find the right footage. But yeah, that transitions to this, which is a TV screen again, and moves on to scene, I want to say 8, back with Eggman. I like how I was too lazy to just redraw it, and I was like, make this teeth closed.
Yeah, even that red feller came down. It's about time you finally won.
That's Noah Copeland as Cubot.
Why, thank you, Orbot. I'm quite the genius, aren't I? And Cubot, I'm going to pretend I didn't hear that last part. Nevertheless, it's far too soon to celebrate. We have yet to accomplish the true goal.
I think that little curve was still kind of neat.
We have captured that brat. She will act as bait to draw them further away. So now we can launch phase 2 of my brilliant master plan.
You mean that thing you were working on?
Oh yes, I'm quite curious as well. What is phase 2, boss?
I'm going to rip away the insufferable pest that grants this world the ignorance to think they are free from me.
Edgy. Excuse me. Pause it. I don't know why I'm telling y'all to pause it. Don't actually pause it, because I paused it myself. That was in episode 1. Roll credits. This is the after credits scene. Originally, everything that's shown here was episode 1, but we split it because it was way too long. So yeah, cool. Roll credits. What did we decide was going to be the end credits theme for the first episode? We were going to put like really well done music, because there was so much good music that was made by our team. I can't remember what it was going to be. I know Dreams of an Absolution was going to be the end credits theme to episode 3. That's all I remember. So yeah, this is the end credits scene to episode 1. It takes place many hours after the conflict. Oh, I forgot. There was one more scene before the end credits. It was going to be Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, and Amy getting in the tornado and being like, we gotta get Cream back, and then flying off into the sky after the egg carrier, which is now like flying over the ocean. And then it was roll credits, and then it was cut to this scene, which is at night. I know. I didn't even have to explain it because it's so easy to tell. It's at night, and it's on Angel Island, where Knuckles currently is not. Where we see Metal Sonic come to steal the Master Emerald. So it's implied that this is either sometime before or sometime after. It's pretty easy to pick up context clues once you see later episodes or whatever. But it's like, oh, Metal Sonic's here to steal the emerald. Obviously, it's what he always does. But, oh, who's that talking? Could it be? Oh, who are those silhouettes in the background? It's clearly Team Chaotix. So the idea was that Knuckles called in Team Chaotix to guard the Master Emerald for him while he was away, instead of just leaving it unprotected again. Oh, episode 2. Here we go. There's no opening theme this time because we already saw it. So on to episode 2, and they're on the plane, and they're conversating about something. I don't remember what it is. I'm sure it's something motivational and inspirational. This is clearly after I had had quite a bit of time and experience working on these animatics and storyboards and like learning more about animation and smoothness. I mean, it's still ugly as sin, but you can see the movement is a lot more respectable, and like the positioning and posing and yeah, it just looks better even if it's still ugly. So Tails, Knuckles, and Sonic just ditched Amy. They pretty much said figure it out, and she has to figure out how to fly the plane now. And we got this Sonic spin dashing his way towards the egg carrier. I like this scene still. I thought that was pretty dope. Alright, I'm gonna pause it. So, what's missing there, Sonic clearly, like they've obviously, there's cannons and turrets and egg bots on the outside, so, after getting shot at, Sonic just kind of saws a little circle around everyone and it drops. And the scene that is missing there is them, like, falling and hitting the ground. And I think we're gonna throw in like a gag, like a Droids from Star Wars gag, where it's two egg bots kind of talking and maybe saying something or a joke or whatever, and you see the team just like fall down and like crush them, and then like the smoke clears, and this is this scene now, and they're in a room, and Tails notices a door, and they run up to it. I don't have to say what's happening. Oh, there's a big old turret in that room. And now they're talking about, like, oh, how are we going to take care of it? And Tails is like, oh, maybe you can... I got to remember how this... I'm going to pause it real quick. I got to remember how this scene progresses. I think Tails explains that the turret is a whatever turret. It's a model something or another, and... It's so silly going back and thinking about it, but it's whatever. It's really fast, and there's no way we're gonna get around it unless Sonic maybe distracts the turret for us, because he's clearly priority 1 Hedgehog, and Tails and Knuckles will go around the outside, while it's being distracted, and get to the turret. And, like, mess with it and malfunction it or whatever, because Tails is a smart guy, and Knuckles will be his bodyguard while he's doing it. So this upcoming turret scene was was that my phone? Good lord. Sorry. I'm not cutting that out. This upcoming turret scene, I was very proud of. Going back and looking at it, it's so out of place, but some of the scenes are still neat looking. It's so ugly in so many places, but it's, I don't know. I spent a ton of time on it, and stuff like this is sort of like the working... I like to look back on it and see how I've progressed. Like, what I learned from the experience of animating stuff like this, drawing stuff like this, and learning from mistakes, and kind of looking back and seeing the passion I had for everything, because there was no reason to go into the extreme amount of detail that I went into this upcoming sequence. But I just enjoyed doing it so much. And I hope that I can find the passion to animate things. The same amount of passion that I had for this upcoming scene. And the song is great. It's by Ash Zone, I think is his name. No, Ash Man. One of those is an animator on YouTube, and the other one is the musician here. It's either Ash Zone or Ashman. Regardless, I will link him in the description. But it's an awesome song, and it's what actually inspired me to do this scene. The scene was... I don't even know if this scene was originally in the script. I think I just kind of started working on it as a suggestion, and people were like, that's dope, dude. Throw it in. And then we kind of worked it in. So yeah, it ended up making the whole egg carrier sort of like a gauntlet, like Eggman knew all along. So these are all rooms to sort of distract the heroes and make them think they're actually progressing through it like a level, when in reality it's like a jigsaw, not puzzle, but like a Saw movie thing. And stage 1 is the high-powered turret that they have to get to and disable. This is also the scene where I voice Knuckles as a placeholder, and we still have the Blue-Eyed Fox voicing Tails as a placeholder as well. So yeah, let's hop right into it. I don't want to talk over this scene because I don't want to talk over the music because I think the music's good. Just know note everything that I said previously about it. Here we go. I forget what they're talking about here. If anybody's been subscribed to me for a long time, they'll remember I released a tiny teaser of this way back in the day. Of course, he gets the fun job while I play bodyguard.
Well, if you really want to, we could always tag you in with Sonic.
Really?
Yeah, if you want to see how well you can dodge bullets.
Yeah, I'm good. I still like this part. The running on the wall, I think that looks okay. Yeah, so obviously that all looked terrible, but pausing it. Some of the choreography is still neat. I like a lot of the kind of keeping the camera continuously moving, never just like weirdly transitioning. And I gotta put all the inspiration for that on that song by Ashman/Zone. I don't remember what it's Ash something. Like I completely wrote that scene based around the song. I was like, he's gonna fight turrets, and then when the music part happens here, we'll have Tails and Knuckles talking as a comedic thing, and then when the music kicks back up, we'll cut back to Sonic, and it'll be so cool looking. And the song keeps going, and there's actually quite a bit more to that scene that was skipped because I never got around to doing it. We're now in episode 2, and at this point, I was starting to realize like maybe this show isn't going to happen. So I started not putting as much time into the boards, still working with everybody and focusing on the thing, but like starting to focus more on episode 1 instead of trying to go too far into the future, just in case, you know. What was I going to say about it? So that scene had a lot more to it. I was going to do some, like, dope. I've said dope, like, 3 times, and that's too many times to unironically say dope without wanting to jump off a roof. I wanted him to do some cool tricks, with the shield that he picked up from the Badnik. Some, like, Captain America crap, jumping around and throwing it, and I don't know. I was just kind of getting weird and crazy with the stuff I was doing. I wanted the fight scenes in this show to be the thing that I was known for. I put so much effort into the choreographing the scenes and being creative with it and trying to do things that you didn't see somewhere else. Like, oh, I saw a fight scene that looked just like this in Super Smash or Super Mario Brothers Z or something. Like, I didn't want that. I wanted people to go like, Chris RWS, I know this dude for doing the fight scenes in Sonic Misadventures. I wanted that to be like my claim to fame at the time. So I put, and that's not the only reason, obviously. I was just so passionate about what I was doing. And I enjoyed it so much. I still, to this day, really enjoy... I took a lot of that passion for doing fight scenes and put it into my Sonic 25th video, which eventually was super rushed and looked terrible by the end of it. And I cringe at that video nowadays. I'm very proud of the amount of attention and views that it's got, but I haven't watched it in like a year. I can't stand looking at it because it's so nasty. But yeah, you can really kind of see or at least I can, nobody knows me. I can see the stepping stones for the kind of artist I would eventually be and the kind of animations I would enjoy doing here. Like watching stuff like this, like watching myself grow into the kind of person I am when it comes to digital art. Which is that's part of the reason I don't regret any of this. I don't feel like this was wasted time. I feel like this was great practice, and I enjoyed it. And I, had a lot of good experiences. Met a lot of good people. I lost track of what I was talking about. That scene continues for Sonic doing tricks and stuff on a shield and killing more badniks, and eventually Tails gets to the turret. And Knuckles defends him. I think there was some comedic moments there, but essentially they disable the turret. They use the turret to blow down the door to get into the next room. And they move on to the hallway, which there they find a ton of rooms, and they're trying to like make their way to an elevator or something, try to make their way to the next level, find the next room, whatever it is. And then we cut to the scene with Amy. Where she gets shot down. And she's like, I think I'm finally getting the hang of this. And it's like, eep! And she gets shot down, and I think I said a naughty word on accident. She gets shot down, and I paused it. I'm telling myself. You guys obviously saw me pause it. And she crashes into the hallway where everybody is, and it's very, very conveniently. And Tails is like, oh, my plane. And whatever. So they go on and they have a couple sight gags trying to look through rooms. And they eventually get to the elevator. And they're like, quick, get in. Let's go find Cream. And then it moves on to this scene, which I still think is kind of funny. I forget who did the elevator music. Could have been any one of our very talented musicians on the team. Charles Ritz, Kyle AB 5000, Joshua Tybale, Jahan. It could have been a lot of people. But I remember the SFM scene for this was actually animated by Mike Darklighter. I've got that somewhere. Mike, if you watch this video, go ahead and post that if you want to. It's cool. Any SFM animators that are watching this video that worked on Sonic Misadventures, post whatever you want. Nobody cares anymore. I would hate to see that work go to waste. And there was quite a few SFM animators that worked on the show. Sonic Pox, of course, was the original. Spirit of the Blue did a little bit of work. Sasso Studios actually did his scene for us before he became Mr. Big Ol' Famous Sasso Studios. Mike, obviously, Mike Darklighter. Andy, and I think his YouTube name is like Andrew. It's Andrew something. Andrew HDZ, maybe. And there was some other people. There was 8 SFM animators. I can remember that. So who did I'll say? I said Sasso. I said Pox. I said Gabe. I said Mike. I said Andy. And there were 3 more. Blue Blur. 2 more. I'm really sorry. I'm not like purposefully forgetting somebody here. It's just been so many years since I had to think about any of these people in relation to Sonic Misadventures, not just think about them in general. 2 other people. I'll be sure to credit everyone that I can remember to credit in the description. But anyways, let's get back to the elevator scene. So I was completely in charge of setting up that scene. That was not pre-written, and I thought it was funny. So a lot of scenes missing here. After they get out of the elevator, I'm just gonna summarize it. They get into a room. Eggman comes on the comm. He yada yada yadas. They have to fight a big old E102 bot. They all fight together, but I think there was something to do with Sonic being way too like aggressive, or it was part of the idea that we wanted some character progression throughout the story, where he eventually learns to work more with his team. But they eventually get the robot. That's like the final stage, like quote unquote, to the egg carrier, because they're still like, they have this mindset of, oh, this is kind of like a video game. I mean, they don't have that mindset, but that's kind of what we wanted the audience to think. Like, it's very video gamey, like just levels and stages, and we push on and progress. But we wanted it to be like, that's what Eggman was planning all along. So after they beat the robot, they notice like the control room and the door starts to close, and Sonic's like, I got it, and he runs for it, and they're like, no, wait for us. And he runs in and he slides under the door right as it's closing, which is what we just saw. So now he's in the control room where presumably Cream will be. And he's kind of looking around. He's like, oh, that's Cream in the chair. I finally found her. And nope. It's a evil Cream doll. Comedic zoo. So right after that scene, what would have happened is sort of like a transition to the outside of the egg carrier, and you would have seen an explosion, and Sonic would have been like unconscious and like flying out and falling to the ocean below. I think what happens next is it takes like a little while for the rest of them to get out of the egg carrier, and we just see Sonic like wake up before he hits the water and kind of have like a moment of like freak out, and he's like calling for help, and we see them like bust out, but it's like way too late, and I think he actually hits the water and like the screen fades to black, and then like episode 3 was like bad future, like Sonic died, and it's like, oh, Silver is back, and he exists here with Blaze, and there's all this, there's like a bunch of other stuff. If I ever actually turn this into something, I don't want to give away too much of the story plots, But essentially, I mean, we all know whenever Silver's involved, there's time travel, so you can kind of put the pieces together of how things get fixed, but it doesn't focus on it being a bad future. It goes back to it being the regular timeline after episode 3. But we enjoyed the idea of actually putting a bit of context, because everyone just like throws Silver in. Like, I'm back to save the future. I'm just here, guys. I figured it out. We wanted it to like actually have purpose. Like no, Sonic died, dude, and like all this stuff happened, and this is why there's a bad future, and they have to actually go back. We can focus on some characters and like meet characters and learn about their what's happening and what's wrong, and it's not just the typical apocalyptic Solaris crap. Like, it was our own interpretation. Yeah, and this last clip is the end of... It's the end credit scene to episode 3, actually. Because this sets up episode 4 with Team Chaotix. This is Mighty running from Team Hooligan.
I swear, when I find you, I'm gonna skin you and turn you into a floor mat for all my guests.
But it's not so bad. You always wanted to go out with a bang.
Over there.
It's like, oh, it's Team Chaotix. It's my old pals. We haven't seen each other in forever. And he kind of considers it and goes off to them. So there was like a reason that he wasn't with the Team Chaotix, and there's a reason that he's running from Team Hooligan, and that sort of like sets them all up to be together on Angel Island when Metal Sonic comes to take it away. But yeah, that's a lot. That was 21 and a half minutes of animatic work, and there was more. There was probably about 8 more minutes worth that I just couldn't find the footage of to save my life. But that's okay. In the end, it's okay. In the end, nothing ever worked out, but I'll always have the experiences and the friends and the practice and the life growth that I gained from that whole project and everyone that I met. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you enjoyed actually seeing what could have been, or what was, that there was work. We worked. I worked. That's a lot of work. 21 and a half minutes of drawings, even if they are lazy and crap, is nothing to sneeze at, boy. That's a lot of work. And I'm glad I'm actually throwing it out there. So yeah, I guess if anybody's interested in seeing any of that actually written out in like comic form, eventually, not soon. We're talking later on down the line when I've finished up what I'm currently working on. Kind of let me know, and I'll see if anyone who was involved would be okay with that or interested in helping out with that again. And I hope this was good closure for anyone who was looking forward to Sonic Misadventures. If anybody actually watched my commentary for this, thank you. I know it was very long. I just had a lot to say. God, is there anything else I want to add? Because this is going to be the last thing I ever put out there about Sonic Misadventures, so I'm really just kind of racking my brain to think if there's anything else. Besides what I've already said, I don't know. I respect all the people that worked on that show. I'm happy. I don't hold any grudges about how it never happened. I hope everybody who worked on that show has a great future ahead of them. Check them all out. I know y'all can find who worked on the show. And anyone who was involved in this video, I'll try my best to put them in the description. to link to. I'm sure a couple of them don't actually have social medias, so that'll be more difficult. Or social media that they'd even want to put out there. But I'll be sure to put their names, at least. And I hope everyone has a great day, and I hope you got some level of enjoyment out of the work that me and everyone else put in to the show that never happened. Have a great day. Bye.